Hi, I'm Meredith. I'm an entomologist and artist. I design insect-themed knitting patterns, and recently I made a video on quantity over quality in the online knitting world, and so wouldn't you know, I have more thoughts on that, which is why I'm moving to YouTube, because I need a longer time to yap. Anyway, that's in my bio now. And I'm going to be showing you some of the pieces that I knit for myself that I wear every day that I don't think are heirloom pieces for reasons that will become clear to you by the end of this video. So, number one. When I made that video talking about quantity over quality, a lot of people were in the comments talking about how they think they don't understand how people can knit 20 sweaters in 1 year and blah, 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 30. And I'm not calling anyone in that comment section out. I'm really, really not. But I also want to reiterate that people can knit how they want to knit, okay? And that when you are seeing a creator who is knitting a bunch of sweaters in 1 year, that creator isn't making the video about their sweaters to you specifically. They are looking at themselves in their phone the same way that I am looking at myself in my phone right now. I think that it's easy to feel victimized by the ripple effects of an online community, which is why I made my video initially about quantity over quality, but I do think on an individual level, it's important for us to kind of understand and realize that when people like me make videos about knitting, a lot of the time we aren't talking to you. You know? And that's kind of one of my issues with the hot takes video, is that like I try to be pretty genuine. Like I would have this conversation with a friend. This is just kind of like how I am as a person, you know? I just having a conversation, but like a lot of those knitting hot takes videos, like you wouldn't want to be interacting with that person in real life, and they're not talking to you. They're making that video looking at themselves, because I guarantee that a lot of those people do not act like that in real life, right? So this weird like kind of uncanny valley of like, people sound like they're judging me, but they're also not talking to me. They're looking at themselves in their phone, you know, just a thing to think on. Anyway, something that I see in the world of people who are knitting a bunch of sweaters every year is that a lot of the times when people are like weird to them, they responded, they're like, well, I'm making heirloom pieces. I'm making this, like, everything's an heirloom, everything's this, that, and the other. And to me, I'm kind of like, okay, I have thoughts on that, and I'm gonna pull them out of my brain. Okay, so number one, I don't think that everything you knit has to be an heirloom piece. In fact, most of the stuff that I've made for myself isn't an heirloom piece. And when we're using the word heirloom as like, I understand it to be passed down from generations, right? Like maybe I have a weird perspective because I have my tubes tied. I'm not having biological children. I got snipped. So I don't think about my knits as something that I'm going to be like handing down. Maybe my students will get them when I'm an old retired professor, if academia doesn't like crumble around our ears as it is currently doing. But anyway, I don't think there's anything wrong with knitting something that's not an heirloom piece. That's most of the time what I do. So here are my like I wear these every single day. This is the sherbet bandana. The sherbet bandana, it's a free pattern. It's knit up in a Ritual Dyes Wild Grape fingering weight maiden, which was part of one of their yarn clubs, nature-inspired yarn clubs that I was in last year, and then a strand of Surrey silk, Emma's Surrey silk mohair, not mohair, Surrey silk. I wear this all the time. I had no idea that I would wear this all the time when I made it, but I do. Then the Pearl Soho bandana cowl. You've seen me yap about this incessantly, probably. This is the Pearl Soho bandana cowl knit up in Misha and Puff by Kelborn Woolens. And this is the Pearl Soho bandana cowl knit up in Spin Cycle Plump. This is a colorway that they only have at the local yarn store. One of the local yarn stores in Philadelphia, Wild Hand. This is just a fingerless gloves free pattern. I knit this all the time. I'm making the other one today. This is a holy grail pattern for me. It's so cute. It knits up in 1 day. This is Cascade. I can't talk today. This is North Bay Fiber Elemental Fingering in colorway Superior. Ignore me. Then I have this. This is a number of stockinette stitches, I guess. A number of stitches that I knit stockinette with 2 strands of Emma's Surrey silk held double. I wear this all the time, right? I don't expect these to be things that anyone other than me wants, okay? I don't expect these to be things that I hand down. I don't expect these to be things that like people treasure forever. And I knit a lot, right? And I think it's good to be like honest with ourselves about like what is actually an heirloom quality piece and what isn't. And then the other thing that I see happening is, sorry, coffee. My throat's really dry because I'm on Adderall. So, you know, dry mouth. This is from Dusty Britches Ceramics in Tucson. I think that it's the perfect mug. Anyway, the other thing that I see happening when we're talking about like heirloom quality pieces is that so many of our heirloom quality pieces are things that we are hand making, and I think that the language that we use to talk about what we're making and what we're buying is incredibly important in this age of fast fashion, especially as we all do continue to buy clothes. Like I bought socks just a couple weeks ago and a bathrobe. So anyway, when we treat everything that we make ourselves as an heirloom quality piece, I think that removes a lot of the utility from it. And I see people being very precious with their knitwear and not really wanting to wear the things that they make or damage the things that they make. And like, I get my knits muddy. Like I wore my leaf hopper sweater to go like collect leaf hoppers, like in the field. So that's not how I operate really. But I think that when we start to value our labor and hold our labor to, and the products of our labor to like a different standard of care and maintenance than the stuff that we buy, we're kind of forgetting the fact that human hands have touched every single thing that we're buying in the garment production industry, in the fashion industry. So I think it's kind of like good to kind of reality check ourselves and say, I'm making this thing that I'm making for me, that I like. It's okay to knit something that's trendy. The Sophie scarf is so trendy and so many people absolutely love it. That's not an heirloom piece to me, but also heirloom pieces are going to be different for everyone. Maybe you're making the Pearl Soho bandana in Misha and Puff and it's an heirloom. Whatever. I'm just saying, like, thinking about the language that we're using and being okay with knitting something that is an heirloom, knitting something that is trendy. There are so many trendy patterns that are so cute. A couple of days ago, someone called my Anson Row raglan trendy. And as a designer, I'm like, yeah, I want to have a trendy pattern. That's awesome. More people are knitting my pattern and learning about bugs from knitting my pattern. Like, hell yeah. Nothing wrong with something being trendy. Nothing wrong with a construction being trendy, a design being trendy, but also like things are trendy. Like you look at 80s knitwear, not a lot of people are making the super trendy popular 80s knitwear pieces. And I think that, you know, those were really patterned. The stuff that we're knitting now is like, a lot of it's like very like Scandinavian inspired, which can be like pretty plain. I live in Tucson, so if you hear like a plane overhead, I don't know why they're here all the time, but they are. I don't know if that plainness, that Scandinavian style, I don't know if that's going to be like in a few years, right? I don't know. Do you know? I mean, I'm not in the fashion industry. I mean, I'm a knitwear designer, but I make stuff with bugs on it, so I don't think I'm especially tapped in. But anyway, yeah, those are my thoughts. Knit what you want. Don't feel like creators who knit differently than you are judging you when they are making a video talking to themselves on a phone and then uploading to people they don't know on the internet. And then really think critically about, like, why are you defending something as an heirloom piece if it's trendy? Or, like, think about it. Maybe it is trendy and also an heirloom piece. Two things can exist at once. Let's think about our labor. Let's think about how we're thinking about our labor. I need this very semester to start again. I need to be thinking about phenotypic plasticity and entomology and ecology. I need to stop thinking about online knitting discourse. But that won't stop, so find me on YouTube and Instagram for more thoughts and to see my non-heirloom fuzzy pieces. Oh yeah, fun fact about this is that I wear this scarf so much that I actually found yarn very similar to this, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make this exact scarf again, and it just got delivered today. I got the Farmer's Daughter's Fibers. I think this is Odang DK in colorway Bittersweet Nightshade. I'm making another one. I cannot wait. I'm just gonna knit and purl and knit and purl. It's gonna be so fun. But I also have to finish designing my horseshoe crab mittens first, which I'm gonna try to have done before the ban because I'm scared. Anyway, that's all. Bye.
Come cut a steak with me. So you can see that I've already picked up all of my surrounding stitches, and my steak looks a little bit fluffy because I've just gone in with a felting needle and reinforced it a little bit. You don't need to do that, especially with this yarn, but it makes me feel a little bit more secure. And then here we go, it's steak time. So you just pick a stitch down the middle of your steak and chop. And there we go. Now I have a neck.
Okay, I'm doing my knitting hot takes as someone who has no right to have hot takes about knitting because I've been knitting for a year. But like, there's something about, I blame it on the autism, man. We have the strongest opinions for no good reason. And please don't get mad at me because they're very strong opinions sometimes. Okay, number one, this one drives me crazy only because I don't understand it. So when I started learning to knit, everyone made it very clear. You're not yanking on your stitches, right? But the thing is when I see people knit, they do the exact opposite on TikTok. They always do this. It drives me insane. I don't get it. They stick the needle through, right, wrap around, and they go like this. And they yank it, and they go like this. And they stretch that stitch as far as they can get it to go. Like the furthest it could possibly go. And I'm just wondering, aren't your stitches loose? And like, aren't you like gonna have ugly stitches doing that? I don't get it. This comes from just my lack of understanding. Why would you I thought we were taught not to do that. I don't know. Anyway, that's my hot take. My next hot take, and this one is controversial, like for real. I'm one of the natural fiber people who's like, don't knit with anything but natural fibers. And listen, everyone can do whatever they want, right? But like, plastic clothing, I don't know. I just personally wouldn't do it. I went through and got rid of all polyester, acrylic, everything in my house, and like clothes, because it doesn't make sense, like for your body, your skin, the environment, nothing. Like I just sell them because like there's no, or donate them because it's not for me, right? If you want to be warm, do not wear plastic on your clothes. And also I imagine if you spend so much time knitting, you want it to be made of quality fibers. So anyway, but like you do what you want. That makes sense. I understand the like affording it thing, but like that's my opinion. That's my big hot take, is I would never knit with anything but natural fibers. Okay, and the next hot take, as you can see by the sweater and its weird fit, drop sleeves. Why are we knitting drop sleeves? Why are we making patterns like this? This is my first sweater, so I didn't really know it was a drop sleeve when I first did it, until this happened, and it just bothers me. It just sits weird. I don't know about it. My next one is such hater behavior of me, and this isn't really a knitting hot take. I mean, it has to do with knitting, but just like fiber arts in general. And listen, this one's unreasonable. So just discredit me entirely when I say this, because I understand it's just me being way too intense about my own beliefs, but like, I kind of hate crochet. Listen, I started with crochet and I loved it. I loved it at first. It really hurt my wrists though, and I was obsessed. That's all I did all day, every day. And then I made my first sweater and I went, wait a fucking minute. Why am I doing this when I could be knitting? So I started knitting, love knitting. I'll never go back to crochet. It's just, I hate it. I hate the way the stitches look. I hate everything about it, honestly. And it doesn't mean other people don't make really pretty things. Other people do. It's, for me only, just uglier in every way and less efficient, and like uses more yarn. And again, people crochet all you want. You do that. That is so cool. And like, yeah, you do that. And the thing is I like have a hatred for it, and I have no reason to have hatred. I think I just spent so much time like wasted on crochet where I could have been knitting, that it made me like hate it. Like I have hatred in my heart for the fact that I wasted my time crocheting, which is ridiculous. I'm just too intense about my opinions, honestly. So that one I know is ridiculous, but every time I see crochet stuff, I'm just like, why? You know? Anyway, so that's my hot takes. They're very hot takes. Way too intense. I apologize. I just apologize. I know they're intense. I don't know why I'm like this. Well, I do. It's autism, I think, but like, anyway, I think that's all my hot takes. I can't think of anything else. Everything's so positive. I love knitting. I love everything about it. I spend 10 hours a day knitting. It's my favorite thing, except hats. I hate hats. It's the best thing that ever happened to me, honestly. It's the best hobby. I recommend literally everyone in the world start knitting. That's all. Okay, bye.
My knitting hot take is that it is almost always worth it to do a tubular cast off for all of your sweaters. People like to complain that it takes too long or that it's too finicky, but I think the result makes it so worth it, and it's really not that hard of a cast off. Look at the final result on the sweater cuff. You can see it's sturdy and the rib almost like goes over the top of the stitches. I think it's a lot nicer, and it's definitely the technique I'm going to be using for my second sleeve of this sweater.